Hi guys, it's Debbie, and today I would like to speak about superhero films, and in particular of how the genre changed after the 2008 release of The Dark Knight. Over the course of time, there have always been shifts in the general presentation of superhero films, as they tend to evolve according to the different waves of popularity and to world events. For example, if we think back to the 60s and 70s, the first images that come to mind are those of a muscular, reassuring Superman or Wonder Woman's bright smile, ready to save the day. In a society emerging from two world conflicts, dealing with a threatening Cold War, people wanted simple, reassuring entertainment with elements of patriotism. Comic book readers and film lovers had no doubt that their heroes would save the day. They were seen as something completely above the average human life. Regardless of what was going on in the outside world with superheroes, the world was a safe place.
For truth, justice, and the American way.
As time passed, the Cold War subsided and new technologies were developed, the success of franchises such as Star Wars, Back to the Future, and huge hits such as Ghostbusters, Men in Black, Independence Day, Armageddon increased the audience's affection for heroes, especially under a science fiction perspective. But there was always an element of positivity in these films. Viewers never expected their heroes to fail, if not under heroic circumstances. It was a happy ending to the 20th century. And as these films gained more and more commercial success, as families at that point could afford VHSs and later DVDs, there was a spike in the production of superhero films, many of which were developed into franchises, profiting from viewers paying to see their heroes over the course of the years, and from families spending on the subsequent merchandise. Parents would never question letting their kids watch these films. Take for example the 2002 Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, who was our true happy hero. Fantastic Four was a team of strong, sensible people we could trust to win at the end of the film, or would teach how to adjust irresponsible behaviours. The first Iron Man was exceedingly amusing with funny Tony Stark. The Incredibles was a totally family-oriented film. Everything was sugar-coated, happy, family-friendly. But sooner or later, society had to come to terms with the fact that we were living, and are still living, in a situation some have described as a post-9/11 crisis. Before the era of terrorism, we felt safe. We all knew that the threat of immediate danger was something far away from us, something we would just hear on the news happening in a remote corner of the world. But in the era of terrorism, we feel threatened on a constant basis. After 9/11 and the other terror attacks which happened over the course of the years, people all over the world became aware that they were potentially putting their lives at risk by going to work, going on holiday, going to school, taking a bus, commuting on the underground. In this crisis, a backpack, a phone ringing are no longer associated with normal activities, but subconsciously trigger a warning bell. The enemy is no longer a 10-foot tall laser shooting robot or an evil lab created monster. The enemy is a human, a regular person just like you and me. So when in 2008 Christopher Nolan gave us The Dark Knight, we all loved it because it was a realistic depiction of a world of terror and chaos. In The Dark Knight we have a realistic, down-to-earth, flawed Batman and a deranged human Joker. The Joker doesn't threaten the world with absurd plans. He threatens the world with chaos. He is everywhere. He plants bombs. He demands to uncover truth. He kidnaps people. He is unpredictable, and most of all, the most frightening thing, in his insanity, you can talk to the Joker. He's not hidden away in his evil lair, gleefully laughing at a screen. He is not speaking about pressing a big red button, launching nuclear weapons. He is sitting in an interrogation room with Batman, speaking about how society's moral code is a joke. Everything in fiction stems from reality, and this is what frightens us, how close evil is to us. It's a completely realistic situation compared to the villains we were offered in the previous decades. To better explain this situation, I would like to read a small excerpt from an article from The Atlantic, which speaks about former President of the United States Barack Obama. Advisors recall that Obama would cite a pivotal moment in The Dark Knight, the 2008 Batman movie, to help explain not only how he understood the role of ISIS, but how he understood the larger ecosystem in which it grew. There's a scene in the beginning in which the gang leaders of Gotham are meeting, the president would say. These are men who had the city divided up. They were thugs, but there was a kind of order. Everyone had his turf. And then the Joker comes in and lights the whole city on fire. ISIL is the Joker. It has the capacity to set the whole region on fire. That's why we have to fight it. With The Dark Knight, the world of cinema started to stop sugarcoating reality and began dealing with the enemy in a way people could relate to. If years ago we used to quote, "Is it a bird? Is it a plane?" or "Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man," we now are totally familiar with expressions such as, "You want to know how I got these scars?" or "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain," marking a drastic change from the optimism of older films. There had been steps in this direction 3 years earlier with V for Vendetta. And if we want to take a step further in the past, in 1994 there was The Crow, a film which presents many similarities with The Dark Knight and which definitely served as a source of inspiration. But because of the enormous attention The Dark Knight received, including 6 Oscar nominations, many superhero films that followed tended to adapt to its mood and themes. If we take a look at most superhero films released after The Dark Knight, the shift towards darker, grittier plots is evident. Suicide Squad, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, They Call Me Jeeg, Split, Chronicle, Wonder Woman, the upcoming Venom starring Tom Hardy. Since the release of The Dark Knight, we can notice some specific recurring features in all of these films. For example, there's been a shift from a predominantly action-driven plot to an emphasis on emotionally charged plots. For example, Wonder Woman has a final battle scene which moves beyond the simple physical effort. Now, for example, in this case, I have not seen Infinity War, but from what I've read, what I've gathered, and you can probably correct me about this, it looks like it is a very emotional film. Then all of these films have a general aesthetic which we could describe as very dark, ominous. Many scenes are set at night or in the rain, like The Crow. There's a general feel of gloominess, of impending danger. The characters are often multidimensional. We often question their nature, whether their character is inherently bad, or whether we can blindly trust a hero. For example, in Nolan's Dark Knight, there are many moments in which we hesitate in giving Batman our complete trust. And at the beginning of The Dark Knight Rises, he is shown as a frail human, one of us. Let me know what you think about this topic with a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you'd like to see more content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.